Hey, what's going on, my friends? How we doing? Welcome back to another episode. I gotta tell you, I'm really happy to talk to you guys this week because it's been a eventful week, and I think I'm gonna remember this week for the rest of my life. The reason why I say that is because I made a decision and I took a step in a direction that is uncertain, and I left a path of safety, but I came to that fork in the road, and as many of us do when we come to that fork, we freeze and we don't know what to do. Do I go left? Do I go right? So I've been juggling these two options in my head for a while now. And this week I finally made the decision and I finally took the step into the unknown. And I got to tell you, I feel relieved, but at the same time, there's some anxiety that comes with that uncertainty. But I know I made the right decision. And I got to tell you, when I was writing the poem about this decision that I made, I thought back to, I forget when, but when I was younger, I read the poem by Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken. And that really influenced my decision. It really did. So it influenced not only my decision, but my writing. So I want to bring you guys up and read this to you guys if you've never heard it before. So this is The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in the yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took to the other, just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that passing there, had warned them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden back. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in the yellow wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. So hearing that poem, coming to the theme of it, my man Robert comes up to a divergence in the yellow wood, and he took the path less traveled. And for him, that made all the difference. So for me, I'm hoping it's gonna do the same. So I'm gonna go ahead and read you guys what I wrote. Many months I found myself frozen in the position you once stood, torn at a junction in the yellow wood. Like you, I gazed down the path on the left as far as I could. What I saw was a lifeless version of myself, aged by monotony, but financially secure. I then did the same on the right. I saw a version of myself shadowed by uncertainty, but ripe with life. My head preferred safety, but my heart craved a risk. This week, I made the choice to go right. Dear Mr. Frost, thank you for your advice. Now, where do I begin? I guess I should just begin with the decision that I made. I'm sure you guys are wondering what I decided to do. This week I quit my job. I quit my 9 to 5. I quit the thing I went to college for. I quit. Gave my 2 weeks. I gotta tell you, it was hard. It was really, really hard coming to this decision because growing up, it's all about safety and financial security. But once you start working, you realize that this just ain't it. And I realized that for myself. Of course, I can't speak for everybody, but for myself, it just wasn't it. I'm going to bring you guys back to the beginning of the story. My junior year of college, I got an internship with a company called Altria. And Altria, pretty much you might recognize the name, one of their brands is Marlboro. So I worked for a tobacco company for the past year. I did an internship with them. And I got to tell you, great company. Great fucking company. There's not one complaint I have about the company. The way they treat me or the employees is amazing. And to preface this whole conversation, The reason why I left is not because I worked for a tobacco company. Like, yes, I'm not super proud that I did or anything like that, but it didn't really bother me. It really didn't because I mean, when you think about big corporations, man, their impact, of course, the tobacco industry is huge, and it's such an easy one to point at and point your finger at. But like, I can go ahead and point my finger at fucking Coca-Cola or McDonald's, and like, how many people is that shit killing? So that wasn't really my issue. But anyways, my position was a territory sales manager. So what I did was I have a territory. I moved down to Destin, Florida, and I got this territory. And basically what I did was look out for Marlboro's interests, sell new products in, capture price, just do market, everything in that falls under that field. Whatever Marlboro's interested in this space, I'm gonna do that. So I moved down to Florida with this one thing in mind, and that was to make money. To make money, to get out of the debt. I just went to school for 4 years, all paying for it all on my own. Like, you got to get out of debt, right? So that was my goal. My goal was to get out of debt, save a lot of money, hopefully enough to buy some property. But in the back of my head, I always had this goal in mind of doing something creative. It's doing something that I really want to do because I always consider myself as a creative person. Things I enjoy doing. I love photography. I mean, right now I'm learning to love to speak to people, to write. And that was always in the back of my head. But then at the forefront is, of course, as well as I know it, is money. You got to make money. You gotta get out of debt. You got to save money. You got to do this and that. All this shit. So that's what I did. I mean, I was in the rat race. I was in the paper chase. And me chasing paper wasn't like to get material things, not by any means. It was just to have that safety and financial security. And I mean, this whole time, I've been trying to save, as much as I can, and I have. I mean, but anyways, that day to day, what I was doing, waking up in the morning was a struggle. It really was. After time, it just wears down on you, and you realize that you're not happy doing what you're doing. You're not happy with the initiatives, waking up in the morning, oh, I got to go do this, I got to sell this, I got to have this certain percentage of sales. And it's just this added stress to your life that you realize you're just stressing about shit that has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with your life. And that for me was the hardest part. It's like I would wake up in the morning and just think, fuck, another day. And me and Taylor are just astounded by how the weeks go by. I mean, we found ourselves living for the weekend. And I don't know the percentage off the top of my head, but if you're living for the weekend, what are you really living for? 2 out of the 7 days of the week? Then multiply that throughout your entire life, and it's like, my life is just flashing before my eyes. Even this past year has flashed before my eyes like that. And I think about, what did I do? I worked this job. Yes, I had fun. I mean, me and Taylor had a great time. We had great experiences. But at the end of the day, I worked. And now after a year, I look back and it's like, hey, all right, I did all this working. What did I accomplish? Not much. Not much in terms of myself. Yes, I got out of debt, okay? I mean, I was paid well. I got out of debt. I paid my student loans and my car loan. I paid like $20,000 in 7 months. So right now I'm debt free. So thankful for that, I mean, while I go through this conversation, I don't regret one thing that I did. I don't regret working for a corporation or having this job. I don't regret it at all because it has led me to the future that I'm now going to have, So it's given me opportunities that I wouldn't have had if I didn't have this job. But anyways, so I got out of debt, but other than that, and I saved some money up, but other than that, I look back and it's like, what did I really accomplish? Nothing, not much, because I'm just waking up every morning working for something that I don't care about. I'm not passionate about it. So I realized to myself, that's why I'm struggling every morning to get out of bed. Literally, during the weekdays, bro, for me to get out of bed is a struggle. When I know I gotta go to work, it's a struggle. But on the weekend, I'm out of bed at 8:30 like that. You don't know alarm, nothing. I'm just up. I'm ready to go. I want to start my day. I want to work on my shit. I want to work out. I want to learn. I want to read. I want to work on the podcast. And I'm just ready to go. But during the week, I can't even get out of bed, and it makes me wonder, like, what is that? What is that? Why? And I know what it is. It's pretty obvious. I'm doing something that I don't want to do. And there comes a point where that monotony, every Monday through Friday, it adds up. And I feel like so many people are just afraid to push the button, to hit stop and evaluate, like, is this something I really want to do? And I understand that's so hard because you got to make money. You have to make money, right? And I get that. I understand that. But I'm at the point now where, to me, that's not as important because, okay, yes, I have savings saved up. Like, I can get by for a year. Like, that's okay. And figure out what I want to do. But that's not even it. Like, I don't want to waste my life doing something that I don't want to do, chasing initiatives and having this stress and working on these projects that I don't give a fuck about. At the end of the day, when you're working on yourself, like me doing this podcast, this shit takes hours of work setting it up and, researching, writing. It takes a lot of work. Editing, it's a lot of work. But to me, it doesn't feel like work. It literally takes 2 seconds. Like, it feels like nothing. But for me to go work on a project for work, 1 hour feels like an entire day because it's just dragging by because I hate what I'm doing. So when I sit down and think about that, me working on my own stuff, I can do all day, no problem. But me working on stuff for my job is like pulling teeth. So that begs the question, which would I rather do? Would I rather work this job for the rest of my life, doing something that I don't care about, something that I don't care for, chasing these objectives and pretending that I really want to do this, that I care about the company? Or would I rather work for myself? Work on this podcast, work on any ideas that I have. And in the long run, hopefully it pays off. And I know that sounds like sunshine and rainbows, but I know that's not the case. Like, I know it's not going to be easy. I know there's going to be struggles and hard times. But what's more worth it? Becoming successful at something that I want to do, or being successful like a slave, doing some shit that I don't want to do. I'm just a slave to the money. And that sounds like I'm exaggerating. But for me, that's what it feels like. Like, I'm struggling to get out of bed every morning and work this job. I feel like a fucking slave. Yes, I'm paid for it. Yes, it provides, but I'm not doing what I want to do. I'm a slave to the dollar bill. And I'm trying to break away from those chains. I don't want to be a slave to the dollar bill. I want to be a slave to myself. I want to be my own master. I want to do what I want to do. And it's not easy. And it's not only about, that when I work on shit for myself, it's easier. That's not it. It's not only just doing what I want to do. It's about being true to myself. And being true to myself means doing what I want to do at the end of the day. And one of the most tolling aspects of this whole situation that I've been through of working this job and ending up leaving this job has been the past 3 months. Because I gotta tell you, since I started, like, I was thinking about plans and what I'm gonna do and all that. But the past 3 months, like, it really hit me. I was working from home for, from March to June. And then it was okay. Like, I wasn't working from home is easy because you're at home, you're working on a laptop, this and that. You have your lunch, you get to do whatever you want to do. It's not bad at all. But the second they sent me back out to the field, it hit me. This is not what I want to do. So during that time period, like the past 3 months, like me figuring out what I want to do, I'm planning, I'm scheming in my head, like what I'm going to do, what are my next steps. I want to leave the company, like that I know. But at the same time, I'm looking my manager in the face every day over the video chat, pretending to be excited, and he's giving me new projects, giving me more responsibility, trying to prime me for promotion. And I'm looking him in the eyes like, thank you so much. Like, this is awesome. Like, I can't wait. That shit takes a toll on you, bro. Like, I'm not a fake person. Like, I know everybody's gonna say that, but for me, like, when I'm doing something that I don't want to do, or I'm pretending, like, that shit doesn't feel good to me, and I feel like a terrible person, and that takes a toll on me. In the past 3 months, that was one of the hardest things to do, because my manager, Mike, he's a great dude. Like, he was a great dude. I consider him like a mentor and a friend to me. Like, this past year, like, he took me under his wing. He showed me how to walk, like, in the sales industry. He showed me how to walk the walk and talk the talk, have confidence, like how to gain people's attention, how to have a ask. Like, he taught me all that shit. And on top of that, like, he was kind to me and nice, and he always looked out for me. And he's young. Like, I think he just turned 27. So, like, I see myself in him, and I see where I can be making all this fucking money. And the worst part is that, you know, after he did all this, after he's trying to mentor me, like, I gotta go. Like, it's not for me. So once I made that decision, like, I know I have to leave. I sat on it, going back and forth, back and forth. Like Robert Frost said, like, he looks at the path on the left as far as he can go. And let's say the path on the left for me is staying with this job. What I could see is myself aged by monotony, aged by that day to day, doing the same thing over and over again, over and over again, over and over again. Collecting a check, waiting for Friday. Oh, fuck, it's Sunday. Fuck Monday. You know, I saw myself doing that. I saw myself being aged by that stress that doesn't belong to me. Like, it's one thing to stress about something that belongs to me, like an issue that I'm having, a mistake I made, or a decision I have to make. But to be given stress from up above, from a company that really, it doesn't mean shit to your life, that's a different type of stress, man. Like, hitting those deadlines and all that shit, like that type of stress hits different. But when I go, and I can tell you, I look to the path on the left, that's what I see. Then I look on the right, and what I see is not so clear, because it's shadowed in that uncertainty. And I see my options. Like, I could do on the right what I want to do, continue along this path, work on my podcast, work on other creative things I want to do, and essentially figure out my true path. But success there is not clear. It's not clear. There's bumps in the road. But what I see on that side is a part of me that's still alive, a part of me that wants to live, a part of me that wakes up in the morning with hunger, a part of me that wakes up in the morning trying to go on a fucking hunt, trying to make shit happen. So there's two parts. It's like, do I want to struggle to wake up in the morning with no life inside of me, but I'm well off and I'm comfortable? But that shit will age me. That comfortableness will age me, make me slow, make me fat. You know, it's going to make me soft. Or do I want to go on the path on the right and take that risk and go on that hunt for something that I want to do? And that's it. I mean, I made the decision. I evaluated. I jumped back and forth because it's hard to say no to safety. You know, it's not an easy thing to say no to a safe path, because like, it's like, I know if I go on that path on the left, I stick with this job, like, the way I manage money, like, I don't spend, you know, I save. I don't care about materialistic shit. So like, I save most of my money. Like, I will be well off. Like, if I stay on the left, money will not be an issue in my life. Like, I know that. The path on the right, I don't know. But what's worth it to me, like, to have life inside of me. Like, you ever see somebody who you just see life's got them down, their job's got them down, they can't do anything, you know? They walk around like a ghost. I don't want that to be me, man. Just stressed out, stressed up to here. Fuck that. I'm trying to chase my dreams. Like, I that's what I really want to do, is just chase my dreams. And it's not an easy path, but that's the path that I chose, and I chose that path on Monday. So this Monday that just happened, literally, I'm working from home, and I got a scheduled video call with my boss at 3:00, and I'm like, yo, this is it. So all day, this is a hard thing to do. All day I'm pacing around, thinking about what I'm going to say. It's not an easy thing to do. Like, I'll tell you that shit straight up. I don't know if you've ever left a job before, but like every other job I've ever had have been like restaurant gigs where like it doesn't matter that much, you know? Like you just fucking walk out of a restaurant gig, who gives a fuck? You can't do that with a corporate job because you'll never be able to get hired again. And not only that, but like this job meant a lot to me because I was treated well. You know, I really was. Like I said, I had a great manager. The company like treated me so good. There's not one bad thing I could say about it. So all day I'm pacing around waiting for 3 o'clock. What am I gonna say? What am I gonna say? Literally from 2 to 3 o'clock, I'm sitting in front of the computer with my camera on, like looking at myself, like before the call to like rehearse what I'm gonna say, cause I'm nervous, bro. Like I'm not good at these conversations. Like I'm really not. I gotta tell you, it was one of the hardest conversations I've ever had. So it turns out my boss Mike calls me at 2:40, and I'm sitting there caught off fucking guard, cause he called me at 2:40, 20 minutes early, because we were waiting on some data or something, and we were just gonna cancel the call for today because we didn't have access to the data. So he calls me at 2:40, and I'm caught off fucking guard, bro. Like as soon as he calls me, I look at the phone. I'm like, I just looking at it with big bulgy eyed, and I answer it instantly. My heart just doo-doo, 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 just pounding like out of my chest. And you might be wondering why. It's like, yeah, this is, I know I want to do this, but it's not an easy thing to do, to jump off that cliff. It's not easy, and especially to somebody who you really respect and you don't want to let down. So Mike called me because I forgot to do something last week, and he was about to grill me. I mean, in his own way, like he doesn't really bug out like that. Like he was just gonna like, hey bro, you fucked up. Like don't do it again. You know, like that kind of thing. So he did that, and the whole time I'm like, yeah, okay, okay. And I'm sure he could tell in my voice because my voice just sounded different. Like I sound shook, to be honest with you. So finally he finished that up, and I'm like, listen, Mike, I'm glad you called, but like, and I go through the whole situation. Like I'm just not happy in the position. You know, this is really not what I want to do with my life. Like I'd rather get out now and figure out what it is I want to do and pursue like things that I'm passionate about than continue this job for 4 or 5 years and look back and be, you know, full of regret. And he was disappointed. He was very disappointed just because like he said he had potential, and he said I had potential and all that, but at the end of the day he understood. And I think that's one of the lessons that I learned throughout this process, is that if you are honest and you are true to yourself and you just tell your truth, exactly how you feel, to the people around you, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong if you're honest. You cannot go wrong, because he understood that. He understood it 100%, and the way he treated me throughout the process, like it just showed me how big of a man he is. You know, it really did. Like the way he treated me, looking out for me, calling me. He's been calling me. Like I'm still working technically. Like my last day is July 2nd, but he's been calling me every day, man. Like he called me to count how many vacation days I had left to make sure I got paid for him. Like shit like that. Like just going the extra mile, and it just shows you. So it wasn't only Mike that I had to tell. I had to tell the rest of my team, and you know, just hearing their support, like it was amazing, because I was afraid of talking to them and telling them, and it's just crazy, man. I had this other boss, also Mike, who I was working on with a project with for the past like 2 months, and we were almost done with that project. But I was like I had to call him and tell him I'm done, and he gave me so much support, man. Like he told me that like finding your right company is a process, or just finding what you want to do is a process, and you gotta, you know, dip your toes in and like feel the water and see if it's right for you. And he's like, yo, that's exactly what you did, and you figured out it's not right for you. And he was telling me like, that's perfect, man. You know, like basically the moral of the story is, what I'm trying to say is that if you're true to yourself, like people, you can't go wrong. People are going to support you, and that's exactly what happened. I was so afraid to have these conversations, but everybody's like, yo, I'm going to tune in the podcast. Like, make sure you listen to me, or make sure you call me and tell me and keep in touch. And I'll write you recommendation letters and all this stuff in the future. Like if you're trying to apply for another job, and all that coming together is just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Like I've learned so much throughout this process. So much I didn't even expect. Like It would be so much easier to just say, hey, I'm quitting and cut everybody off and leave on a bad note. You know, it would be easier to not have those tough conversations. Because I got to tell you, that conversation that I had with my boss was one of the toughest conversations I've ever had. Like, my heart was really pounding. And it filled me with stress for so long. But as soon as I had it, I was relieved. I was relieved. It's like I just passed through. I'm on the other side of the door. That's it. I'm done, you know? Time to move on. Time to chase that dream. Time to fucking be hungry and go on the hunt. And now I'm on the other side doing what I want to do, talking to you. Now I'm here. And I don't know where it's going to take me, but I know this journey is going to be fucking amazing and filled with great experiences and talking to beautiful people. So we are moving back to Connecticut. We're moving back to Connecticut, I think July 15th. So I'm going to be coming back home. Those of you who are listening from home, I'm going to be in your city. I'm going to be there. And when I get back, I love this format of podcasts. I love talking my truth like I just did, telling you these stories, because I hope they help you out. Like, the goal originally was to just share my experience and help people out. Like, if you're feeling the way I feel about your position right now, and maybe you're thinking about leaving, like, I'm telling you, do it on a good note. Do not burn any bridges, because these people, if you're a good person, like, they're going to support you no matter what, because they see that in you. Like, I've always been good to the people around me. They see that in me. Like, they're going to continue supporting me. Like, for my manager, who I just left, to say, yo, I'm going to, like, if you need it, I'll write you a letter of recommendation. That speaks volumes, man. That speaks volumes to who he is as a person, who I was, like, around him. So with that being said, like, I love this format that I'm doing of the podcast, just telling my truth. But one thing that I really want to do is interview people. I really want to do that. There's so many people in my area who I think just need that exposure. They need that chance to say something, to have a voice. They really need that. And not only that, but I just crave that interaction. It's one thing to sit here and talk to you through a mic, through a camera, but to have that interaction is going to be different. That's something that I really want to do. So, excuse me. But when I get back, that's one of the things I'm still, the Diary of a Balkan Kid is still going to be kicking strong, because at the end of the day, I'm still living life. Okay? So, like, I'm still making mistakes. I still got shit I got to do. I'm sure I'm going to remember this week for the rest of my life. And the decision that I made, me taking the decision to go right instead of left at the fork in the road. But there are going to be many weeks like these, man. So there's going to be much more to talk about as far as this podcast goes. But I think I'm going to get into interviewing people. So please look forward to that. I'm really excited to have these conversations and really just dig into people's headspace and see what they're thinking. Like, especially some of these artists out in CT, bro. Like, everybody's kicking it and doing some cool ass shit, and I just want to see, like, where's your inspiration drawn from? Like, there's so many questions that I have. So, yeah, like, to be continued. But what I really want to say, just to top this off, is do what makes you happy. Do what makes you happy. Do what you think is gonna work. Like, what you think is gonna make you happy, because at the end of the day, that's what matters. It's one thing to be safe. It's a whole nother thing to be happy. Like, I learned a lot of this from Taylor, just from telling me stories, and just in general from, TV, just knowing people. Like, money is not everything. Money will make you comfortable, but to a certain extent. Like, there's things that money can't buy, and we all have to understand that. So if you come from a background that doesn't have a lot of money, I understand that you feel like you need it and you want it and you just don't want to ever think about it. But I see families that I know don't have much, who are just so close to each other and so together and happy, and I think that's really all that matters. And not even about families, just yourself. Like, there are just people who I respect, somebody who is full of life, who has passion. And I know I keep saying that, but, like, someone who has vitality so much more than I respect a old, sad, angry person who has money. Like, if I see you and you have a goal and you have a dream and you want to chase it, I got so much more respect for you than somebody who's just chasing money. So, I mean, you all got to take that shit into account, but I really hope you guys enjoyed this story about what I did this week. And it feels really good to talk about it because, like I said, it was not an easy decision. It's really not easy to sacrifice something that you studied for 4 years for. And it's not like I can never go get another job again. Like, I understand that I can. I don't know if I'm going to, though. I mean, the goal is no, I want to be self employed. I want to do this. I want to travel the fucking world. That's what I want to do, and that's what I'm going to do. So, I mean, I hope this gave you guys some inspiration to do what you want to do. And there's some people who are just cut out for just having that job and that comfortable life. And that if that's you, like, do your thing, you know? Like, if that's what you want to do, I'm there's no need to put that down, okay? Like, if that's what you want to do, you want to be comfortable and safe, like, I got respect for that too. But I just really hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. I really do. I'm excited to see what the future holds. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. I love you all. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Do what you got to do. Peace out, guys.